Hey folks, Geoff Hetherington here for today's one. I'm glad there's not many of us because it's going to be quite a big one. Usual thing, give me a thumbs up if you can see the title page. Yep, fantastic. All right, let me just slide you guys down the bottom and we'll get going. Today, what we're looking at is this 100K, 200K plus problem. In other words, if I'm not there yet, how do I get there? If I am there, what can I do to get past it? So who am I? You heard me talk a little bit before. I suppose the most relevant parts are prior to running my own coaching business the last 12 years and helping at last count about 173 businesses and business owners get to where they want to go. I spent 30 plus years as a C-suite executive in both Southeast Asia and here in Australia. And I worked in 12 different industries, everything from telco to supermarkets to running 5 businesses simultaneously while I was in Jakarta. So I've had a bit of time. I don't say any of that to say how wonderful I am. I really just mention that to let you know that you're in pretty good hands. A lot of training things tend to be full of blah, 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 blah. This won't be. There's a lot of information here to get through. Please take notes. Yes, it's being recorded, but it's always good if you take notes as you go through so that you will then be triggered to go, he said something about this, I'll go check the recording out. You learn more if you take notes as things go. Time's short, so we're going to get going. Pretty much all business owners have this sort of thing going on. Business is the major part of their life, and they try and squeeze their life around the outside of it. And whilst that has to happen sometimes, it's not good long term. What's much better is where your life, what you do outside of work, is central to the things you do, and business is the thing that supports it. People talk about work-life balance, and I'll tell you now that's BS. There's only work and life. In fact, there's only life and where you decide to put your energies. And sometimes we've got to put more energy into work and earning money and helping clients. And other times we're going to kick up, put our feet up and go and spend more time with our family. So there's just life and where we decide to put our focus and our energy. But if we're going to build life the right way, it's best if we build it this way with business sitting around the outside of work life than having business being the main part of it. I'm very big on this idea of a lifestyle business. I have been for 20 odd years. A lifestyle business is literally a business that's run by its founders with the aim of living or maintaining a certain lifestyle. All right. It's meant to be a business which adjusts to the lifestyle so that you can live your life as you like. Some types of businesses are more accessible than others. The funny thing is, what we call high street businesses in Australia, they call main street businesses in America. They can also be lifestyle businesses. There's a woman in America called Cody Sanchez. Unfortunately, she's gone very right-wing, but she's all about making people into main street millionaires. And that's buying what people call boring businesses. That's like running a laundromat or a painting business or high vac or things like that. But actually, those businesses become very good, very lucrative lifestyle businesses. Now, I'm not saying we all need to run out and buy a laundromat. What I'm saying is that, what we've got and what we're doing has the capability these days to be transformed into a lifestyle business. Now, you'll see this sort of thing around quite a bit where people say lifestyle business has some severe drawbacks. It's got limited growth potential, it's got lower revenue potential, and it's dependent on the owner. Quite frankly, 2 of those 3 things are BS. It is dependent on the owner. That's a true lifestyle business because it's your face and that's what you do. Lower revenue potential, that depends on how much you want to get, and we'll get to that shortly. And limited growth potential, it's only limited by how many resources you want to put into it. I run my business quite happily with myself and 1 VA. I used to have a team of 6. I now only need the 1. And we do quite nicely. Thank you very much. So it's flexible. It gives you work-life balance. Again, I really don't like that term, but it gives you more time doing what you want. It makes you feel more fulfilled. You heard me talk before about corporate captives, saying, is that all there is? Well, a lifestyle business actually answers that question for you. It's about maximizing profits. It's about putting that forward rather than trying to just hire your turnover. Now, there's a couple of paths to actually living a life where your business is around your life. You can be lucky and just start a business or fall into a career that you absolutely love. You might find the right fit where you find the right industry or you sell the right product or it's the right time for those things to work for you. Hell, you might win lotto and be sensible and use that to set up the lifestyle you want. Or maybe you've built up enough money, or you've been smart and you've been investing since your 20s or your early 30s in shares or real estate or dare I say, crypto. I'm not a fan, but lots of people seem to be doing well with it. Or maybe your path is you change careers. Now, for people on this call, that might mean you stop doing what you're doing. You stop selling the service or product you've got and you change something else. You try something else to see if you can get there. The normal paths are having a salary in a high value role, which is obviously corporate and executive. It's owning your own business, which is what we do. It's maybe having a salary plus a side hustle, with the side hustle filling in that gap in your life. You can own your own business and feel unfulfilled. So again, you might find a side hustle that fills that gap. Or you might be overemployed. And overemployed is a thing a lot of tech people are doing now, where they're actually working 2 or even sometimes 3 full-time jobs in different time zones and using automation and AI to meet the needs of those jobs. And those people are pulling down 600 grand plus a year. Smart work if you can get it. Here's a question for you. If you bought your own business today, what would you change to get it to 100K, 200K, or 300K plus? I'm not asking for answers now, but ask yourself that. No matter where you are on the revenue continuum, if you're less than 300K or less than 100K, if you bought your business today, looking at it from the outside in, what would you do to get it to 100K, 200K, or 300K? What changes would you make? What things would you be trying to do? Now, this sort of thinking means it's easy to feel overwhelmed. When you're running a small business today, we're expected to be content kings. We're expected to consume a lot of stuff. We're expected to be on 16 different types of social media. We're expected to be on lots of networking meetings. There's a whole heap. It's easy to feel overwhelmed. And sometimes when you're trying to build your business, things happen really quickly and can surprise you. And being caught by surprise is not always a bad thing. But sometimes, and more likely, things take a long time. Dynamic change can be a good thing, but often people burn out and businesses burn out, whereas incremental change, a slow and steady growth, is what works best. So who's responsible for making the changes and making the money that you need to live the lifestyle that you and your loved ones want? Look in the mirror. It's you. Simply, if you own a business, the responsibility lies with you. In order to get your business to that 100K plus, 200K plus type of revenue, you need to get some things in order. Now, the first thing you need to do is you need to decide. You need to be honest. Why do I want a 100K plus business, or a 200K plus business, or a 350K plus lifestyle business? Why do you want it? Now, if it's just for the money, you're probably not going to get there. It's not. Somehow or rather, that just doesn't seem to work out all the time. Maybe you want to get there because you want to have more family time, or you want to help your kids out. Maybe you got to catch up on some bills and you just want to get ahead financially, so you're not cringing every time an envelope appears with a plastic window in it in your letterbox. Maybe you want to experience the romance of travel and get closer to your loved one. Maybe you've drifted apart because of business pressures, and there's no better way than travel to bring the two of you together again. Maybe you just want to build a rainy day buffer so that you've got what my dad used to call FU money. Things aren't going well, you can say to the world, F you, I'm moving on from there. Maybe you just want freedom, or maybe you want to leave a legacy. Maybe you want to live a laptop lifestyle, but here's a secret. It doesn't exist. It's BS. And anyone who sells you a course to tell you how to become a laptop lifestyle millionaire is full of BS. It doesn't exist. Any business worthwhile that's going to have continuity and longevity requires you to work. So right now, just stop, take a breath. No matter where your business is, you can get it higher and faster to where you want to go. If you want to help, and there'll be a couple of these turn up during the day, just take a copy of the QR code and book a call with me, and we'll have a chat to see what you need to do. It's not a sales call. I'll see if I can help you. So here's the first question you really need to ask yourself. How much is enough? But it's not just about money. It's about things like travel. It's about how many toys do you need? How many cars do you want in your garage? Right? How many game consoles do you want? It's about how many date nights you want to have with your significant other. It's about how many new experiences do you want to have? Now, there's a company called Red Balloon, which provides experiences, one of which is ballooning, but at last count, they had 300 odd different experiences. Maybe you just want to go through all Red Balloon's experiences. Doesn't matter. Decide how much is enough. Money is obviously the most important one because money equals choice. Then decide what time frame. How soon do you want to be earning that money or locking in those date nights? Is it 6 months? Is it 12 months? Is it 3 years? Is it longer? It shouldn't be longer than 3 years. I'll tell you why later on. You need to make a decision with your business. Your business must become top line driven. And what that means is you've got to be hammering revenue. There's only 3 things to do in your business. You've got to increase your revenue, you've got to deliver what you promise on, and you've got to contain your costs. Too many of us are getting distracted and playing around with other bits and pieces instead of focusing on the one thing that's going to drive us towards having that better business, that lifestyle, and that is focusing on revenue. Here's a bit of a plan. The plan sort of works like this. What's the problem you solve? And is it needed? Is the solution you provide actually wanted in the marketplace? It should provide some pain relief. What are your strategic goals? Where do you want to be in 12 months and in 3 years? What revenue do you want to get for there? How do you get revenue? We're going to go through these in the next couple of slides. What controls do you need? What personal productivity? You've all heard me talk about using the 5x5 or the 3x11 system. You've heard me talk about selfies. You've heard me talk about squeezing your week. There's a whole lot of personal productivity and stuff there. And then, of course, all that leads to growing your dollars. As I said before, dollars is a way of keeping score, not so much, but it's about providing you with choice. The more dollars you've got, the more choice you've got. The key is to understand how many dollars you want in order to get the things that you want out of life. Time to start? Well, the start is simply, what's your target amount? Say it's 100K. How quickly do you want to get to 100K and how are you going to tackle this? Well, firstly, here's some really simple numbers. 100K based on 48 weeks working a year and 8 hours a day, right, is literally $52 an hour. It's $416 a day. It's $2,000 a week, or it's $8,333 a month. So the question is, what can you do 5 days a week that's going to generate $52 an hour or $2,000 or $400 a day? What can you do? Go back and look at your business and decide, what can I be doing to generate an average of $400 a day, Monday to Friday? Have a look at where you are now. How much are you turning over now? And use one of those things. Look at it weekly or monthly. How much am I generating in revenue each month? And how much do I want to generate? There's a difference. What's the gap? How big is the gap between the money I want to have for the lifestyle I want and the money that I'm generating? When you understand that, you apply the time frame. If I'm going to get from where I am to where I want to be, what time frame am I going to give myself to do it? Let me tell you this, the longer you give yourself, the less chance you will survive. 12 months is a good one. Anyone can focus for 3 months and then 6 months and then 12 months. So think about that. Set your goals. What are your personal goals for 12 months and 3 years? What are your business goals for 12 months and 3 years? And then how can you make your business goals support your personal goals so that they come off together? And then you create your map to get there. Now, you can do something like this. This is from the Key Person of Influence program that I first did back in 2013. I was in the second group of people to ever do it in the world, in fact. First one was in Melbourne. And they do this. Look at this. They talk about a problem. They talk about 3 problems. They talk about the prize, the 3 outcomes you want. They talk about the 7 steps to get from problem to prize. And then they talk about the mistakes people make on the way. That's a really good way to set up your business. What's the problem I solve and who for? Because there's your niche. And how am I going to tell people about it? What steps do people need to make to get to the solution? And what mistakes do they need to avoid? It's really nice. Some of you saw me speak a couple of weeks ago about signature systems. You can actually take the signature system template like this and apply it to your own business. Imagine if the problem you want to solve is, I want to turn over $200,000 a year. So how do I go from where I am now to 200K a year? What are the steps I can take? What are the 9 steps I can take? What are the 3 different things I can push to get from where I am to here? Again, use this template to plan it out, to map out what you want to do. You need to understand some maths, sadly. You need to know a thing called ATV, which is average transaction value. So when you look at the sales you've done for a week, if you sell more than one product or service, what was the average transaction value? Was it worth $100? Was it worth $200? because when you know that number there, you can work on increasing it so you make more money. You need to understand, again, if you sell more than one product or service, what is your product mix? In other words, product A sold 60% of the week's sales and product B sold 30% and product C was 10%. So you need to know which ones, how much each product or service contributes to your overall income. And of course, you should have a budget in place. So like I said, an average transaction value equals your total sales divided by the total number of units, which is products or services sold. So 100K divided by your price per product equals the number of units or services you need to sell to get there in 12 months. So if you sell something, easy maths, if you sell something for $5,000, you've got to sell 20 of them a year in order to get to 100K, right? Work it out. Most people say, oh, I want to make 200 grand a year, but they've got no idea of how many units of their product or their service they have to sell to make 200K. They don't take the next step. You must take the next step and decide on the number you want to generate, you want to earn, and how many of your particular things you want to sell or you need to sell to hit that number. And I said before, you need to understand your product mix if you sell more than one product or service. I've got 47 different services that I can offer to people, but I tend to only talk about 2 or 3. The other ones I bring in as needed as I work with people if they need other things there. But if someone out the blue comes to me from a corporation and says they're having problems with change management, I've got a program just for that. But I don't budget for that program. I budget around my main 2 or 3 things to do. But you need to do this. If you sell more than one product or service, you should have a hero product, which is the main one you push and should do the bulk of your sales. You should then have another product, which is probably second, and then your third. Probably shouldn't push any more than third, but you need to understand what you're doing. There are 2 drivers for human behavior: the desire to seek pleasure, the desire to avoid pain. And pain avoidance is the strongest drive out of the 2. So your product needs to not only offer a transformation or a clear outcome, it needs to offer some form of pain relief. It needs to talk about benefits and not features. By benefits and not features, a feature is, for a car, it uses 18 litres to 100 kilometres. Okay, that's a feature. That's pretty boring. The benefit is it's got a sunroof and it's fantastic in summer when you're driving with the wind in your hair and smelling the salt air, right? Benefits are what sell things, because remember, people buy with emotions. You must talk to people at an emotional level, even if it's nothing more than saying to them, how good are you going to feel when you stop hitting yourself in the head with the hammer so the headache goes away? So talk about benefits and emotions and about pain relief. People buy for this reason. They buy for the way they think or hope they'll feel when they use or own the product or service they pay for. Okay. I've just purchased a course this morning from a guy called Ryan Lee, he's one of the OGs from internet marketing. He's very good. He's very unusual in the sense that he's actually got a lot of integrity. Do I need to learn anything more to run a business? Probably not. But I've bought that because he's talking about some stuff that I'm not so clear about, or maybe stuff that I'm letting go. So why have I bought it? Because of the way I imagine I think I'm going to feel when I actually implement what he does and the positive effect it'll have on my business. Robert Cialdini wrote a book called Weapons of Influence. He's upgraded it. So it's got 7, it used to be 6 things. And these are the principles that he talks about. Reciprocity. In other words, you give people something what they feel they have to give it back. Commitment and consistency, by showing people you're consistent in your commitment to them. Social proof. Look, here's Bill. Bill lost 40 kilos on my weight loss program, that type of stuff. Before and afters. Liking. You've got to be likable. You can't be aloof and you can't be arrogant. You must be likable to sell. Authority. You have to have credibility and authority. Scarcity works well. And, nothing annoys me more than people selling a PDF saying, we've sold 100 and there's only 120 available. That's BS, of course, but scarcity still works. So think about it and make it a limited time offer, or limited at this price, or whatever. And unity is more than liking. It's really how you define yourself. In other words, as a whole human being, how do you define yourself? And you usually do that by saying, I am the type of person who, and fill in the blank. So I'm the type of person who likes helping other business owners achieve a lifestyle business, for instance. Okay. So your product must provide a clear solution right? It can't be wishy-washy. There must be a clear product and a clear solution, a clear transformation. The solution needs to be something like this. You need to go, what's the problem I solve? Who do I solve it for? Does it fit my market? Will people pay for it? How often will they pay for it? How do I deliver the solution? And do I actually like delivering the solution? Right? I've got, as I've told you the story in the past, I've got a friend who's a mad guitarist, loves playing guitars. He's an ex-client, but no, he's a dreadful guitarist. No one will pay him for it. So he does something that he actually is very good at. He's a GP and he does it very well, but it doesn't really light him up. But he uses what he does during the day to support his passion outside. And your client, you've got to understand your client. What are they hurting about? What are their fears? What are their wants? What are their needs? What are their aspirations? Who are they? It's really important, I think, to decide your niche by defining the problem you solve and then filling in things like the psychodemographic information. Most people tell you to start your client avatar by going, his name's Bob. Bob's 43 years old. He likes watching Foxtel, yada, yada, all that sort of crap. That's demographic or psychographic. The easiest way to define your niche is to decide what is the problem you solve and then look at who's got that problem so you can help them. And of course, with your client, you need to understand where you find them. Right? The quickest way to destroy your business, your authority, your credibility, is to break your promises. You must keep your promises to the people you help. You must also fit your market. Some of you have seen this slide before, but those onions look suspiciously like ears of corn to me. Australia Day doesn't say Aussie, 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 we, although that sign was up at my local base warehouse for about 3 years. Should be oi, 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 perhaps. But the last one really matches his market, fits his market. There is a very, very smart marketing person doing that there. Too often, we may be in the right church, but sitting in the wrong pew. And by what that means is we've got a problem that people want to solve, but we're not presenting it the right way, or maybe we're not getting in front of the right people. And one of the biggest mistakes I see is people using the wrong type of social media. They get caught up in the bright, shiny object of, oh my God, TikTok, I've got to do TikTok videos. Not understanding that maybe their demographic are probably on Facebook, or maybe they're on Instagram, or maybe they're LinkedIn, or maybe they're just on X these days. Maybe they're on Pinterest and they've got nothing to do with the other ones. You need to look very carefully at understanding your client avatar and knowing where are they from, where will I find them, and how do I get messages to them. They may not be on Reddit or Google Plus, or whatever. Google Plus isn't around anymore. But pick your method to market, your voice to market very carefully. Your cascade for your business should look like this. You need to come up with a product, i.e. a solution to a problem that people are willing to pay for. You need to decide what channel or channels to promote it to. That should give you leads. And when you get leads, then you need to have a chat or a pitch or a sales conversation with people. I see all the time, even some of the big thinkers saying it all starts with leads. Well, that's BS. It doesn't start with leads. It starts with you understanding what's the problem you solve and who for, and then promoting that to the marketplace. Then you get leads and then you can sell. So I said before, there's only 3 levers that you need to use for your business that encompass everything. Lots of things fit under each lever, but you generate revenue, you deliver on your capacity to deliver, you deliver on your promises, and you contain your costs while you're doing it. If you master those 3 things, you're going to have a good business. But here's an immediate thing you need to do right now. You need to think very clearly about raising your prices, because nearly every business I work with, their prices are too low. 10% is a good figure. Do you understand that if you increase your prices by 10%, you would have to lose 25% of your existing clients before you earned less money? That's how the maths work. And you're unlikely, if you're likable, to be losing 25% of your clients. But 10% doesn't just apply to pricing. It should apply to different parts of your business. Some of you have seen me talk about this before. But if we were to take a typical business, say it's got 1,000 leads a month coming in, you convert 25% of those leads, they get 250 customers, they get 10 transactions from them. Each transaction average value is $100. So they make 250 grand in a year. Their margin is 25% and they take home profit 62,000. If we were to apply the 10% rule to this and we were to increase the number of leads by 10%, that would, and increase the conversion rate by 10%, that would give us 302 extra customers. If we just increase the number of transactions to 11, that would give us, and our sale price 110. Look at the difference there in terms of total revenue. Just applying a 10% increase to leads conversion rate, transactions, and actual revenue has added $115,420 in revenue. And imagine if we moved our margin up by 10%. Look at the difference in profit. So applying 10% thinking across the different parts of your business can result in a nearly 45% increase in take-home profit. So don't be scared of raising your prices, but ask yourself, how can I get 10% more leads? How can I convert 10% more people? How can I increase the number of times people buy from me by 10%? Do those things, and the bottom line will look after itself. How to increase prices? Well, you can go to your clients and go, it's inflation plus X%. You can do it 10%. Remember, in the 20, you'd have to lose 25% of your clients to lose them. You can limit availability. You can make something literally a one-time purchase or a seasonal purchase. You can add a level of value of stuff and then increase your price. Or you can just promptly pass on price increases. I was talking to someone in manufacturing a couple of weeks ago. They haven't raised their prices 3 years because they're scared of losing customers. And during that time, all their costs have gone up and their profits have done this. They're just about to go broke. So we've sent a letter out to their clients. All of this can seem a bit like a maze, and you need to find your way through. But there's a couple of things to do to sell more. Declare war on white spaces in your calendar. If you've got lots of white space in your calendar and it's not full with things that are helping your clients, developing new products or services, working on your business, or doing sales calls, it's no wonder you're not making the money you want. White spaces in your calendar, in your diary for any business owner is probably the single biggest enemy you'll find. You can look at creating 3-for-2 product bundles. You can do, you see these things, get a second polo shirt 50% off and all that sort of stuff. You can do that. Reactivate old clients with a call or a special offer. Train your staff if you've got them to sell. Your current clients, you can sell them more services, more products. You can give them client-only offers. You can offer them an upgrade or an update. You can offer them training. You can do add-on things. You can maybe build merchandise. Poor old Hog's Breath looks like it's dying the death, which is a shame. They do great steaks, but they were one of the first places in Australia to sell Hog's Breath caps and T-shirts and mugs and stubby holders and all that sort of stuff. People still like merchandise because they like feeling like they belong to a tribe. So maybe you've got a tribe out there that wouldn't mind having a pen or a cap or something. You can add products or expand your offering. You can split existing products down and make them 2 or 3 smaller ones. You can find complementary products or services to sell alongside and create new products. You can find left field products or services as well. Something that's totally unassociated with what you do for people, but because they know, like, and trust you, that they're going to buy something different. There's been more than a few business coaches start promoting their own coffee, which doesn't really go into what they do, but it can work. We could add more value, and that might be something as simple as more time with you. If you're going to get more clients, you must have a clear value proposition, a unique selling proposition, and a point of difference. You've heard me talk about Blue Ocean before. Blue Ocean is very, very much about where you are so different from everyone else, you've got no competitors. Very few people ever get there. Most people are in Red Ocean where you're competing on price, and it's like the back of a boat where you throw chum in the water and the sharks start eating each other. Ideally, you want to be somewhere in what I call light blue, where you're different from nearly everyone else in your marketplace, and there are some barriers to entry makes you stand out. That's the place you want to be positioning your business. So look at your business. Are you competing on price primarily? If that's the primary thing you're competing on, your value proposition is lacking. And quite frankly, you're in a death spiral. It might take a couple of years, but you're in a spiral down, because that's what happens is people keep competing on price till no one can sell it any cheaper or survive any longer. So think about that. And of course, you can use networking. Maybe you want to try a new market. Joint ventures is something big. That's called OPN, other people's networks or other people's customers, OPC. you can do that. You can literally find someone who serves the same customers as you, but is not a competitor, and run a joint promotion. I'll promote you promote my coaching offer to your clients, and I'll promote your safety officer Faith to my clients, that type of thing. We can do that, all right? Maybe there's a new way of using your thing that people haven't thought about. Maybe you can just rebadge it, rebuild it, or make a new version of it. You can alter the dress. Maybe you can repurpose it. Networking is still very, very important. BCW is not a networking group. We're a business growth platform, but networking like this is important, even if it's the same people turning up week after week, which is great to see. We should be, each of us, inviting other people to come along to this Tuesday. We should be expanding the network that we get exposed to, because when we expand the network, the greater the chances are to find someone who's got clients that we serve, but don't compete, that we can actually do some things with. Tools you should be using a VA if you can, all right? You know, the Be Connected World Business in a Box VA system is great. You can go to Fiverr and use freelancers. You can use the 3 Fs, family, friends, and fools, to help you. Obviously, apps, there's no reason why any of us here could not have a global small business, because apps have made it such that we can operate 24/7 globally if we want to. AI is something you need to at least be aware of if you're not actively using it. And you should really be thinking about cutting your costs and controlling your business by looking at all-in-one software like the Be Connected World CRM, the Go High Level thing. But with all that, with all the tools and all the things I've spoken about, you've got to be very clear and very disciplined in what you do. You need to be working on things that are going to help you bring in more revenue, because revenue is what gives you choice and ultimately will give you freedom. It's very easy to get distracted by the latest shiny object. It's very, very easy, especially in the social media world, to get distracted by the latest ad, the latest offer. Yeah, write a mini book and make $1 million a year, all that sort of stuff. Identify how much money you want to make. Understand how much of what you've got you have to sell a year to get to that money, and focus on selling the hell out of your product so you get there to your money. The other things are a distraction, unless something comes along that might help you be more productive. But really, quite frankly, most of people have that. And if you've got the CRM, you've got all you need there. Understand this. If you're a business owner like we are, everything starts with you. If you're not disciplined, if the alarm goes off at 7 o'clock in the morning and you don't roll out of bed to 8:30, if you miss calls or you've got lots of white spaces in your diary or in your calendar, it's no wonder you may be not hitting the goals you want. So at the end of the day, you have to be accountable and held responsible for it. So if you're ready to fly, or are you ready to just keep doing more of the same? Because quite frankly, if you keep doing more of the same, you're going to get the same results. There is no such thing as a silver bullet, unless, of course, you take me up on my silver bullet just-in-time coaching sessions. But seriously, there is no magic bullet that's going to transform your business overnight. What there is knowledge. What there is talking to people who've done it before you and using them to shorten the period of time it takes you to get to where you want to go. That's what coaches do. That's what mentors do. That's what friends do, and that's what networking groups do. They expose you to people who've already done it or are further along the path than you, and that compresses the amount of time it takes you to reach your version of success. Doing it by yourself is great in books and movies, but at the end of the day, you need to be drawing on other people to help you get there. So if you'd like a hand, please book a chat with me. Let's have a call. Those of you who've had a call already have got good value out of them. They're not a sales call by any means, although, yes, I hope I blow your socks off enough that you want to work with me, but it's not the important thing. Andrew Marvell was a poet back in the 1800s, and he wrote a poem called To His Coy Mistress. And this is my favorite line out of the whole thing. But at my back, I always hear Time's winged chariot hurrying near. In other words, this life. On average, a human being in Australia gets 80 summers. We get 80 winters, we get 80 autumns, we get 80 springs. That's not a large number. Now, I've gone through 64 of each of those, and I intend not having just another 16, but by God, the next 3 or 4, I'm going to work my butt off to make sure I'm going to achieve the things I've got. So if you take that number 80 and 80 of each season, how many have you got left? Even if you're a young'un in your 20s, having 60 left, still not a lot. Trust me. So look, thanks for listening. Let's have a chat. By all means, the link's also in the chat in my thing there. We got any questions?
Thanks very much for that, Geoff. If anybody's got any